5. Habits you must adopt to master Stoicism. In a world that's constantly screaming for your attention, does it ever feel like your peace of mind is under attack? Do you find yourself lurching from one reaction to the next, to a notification, a setback, a minor frustration, feeling more like a passenger in your own life than the driver? What if I told you there was a way to build an unshakable mindset? A way to construct an inner fortress of calm that no amount of external chaos could ever break through. The great Stoic thinkers laid out a challenge for us, not with flimsy life hacks, but with 5 specific daily habits. These are ancient, battle-tested practices that have been used by everyone from emperors to slaves for over 2,000 years. They are designed to give you a profound sense of inner peace and resilience right in the middle of modern turmoil. Stick with me, and you'll walk away with a clear blueprint to stop just reacting to life and start truly living it. This is your first step toward mastering your own mind. Habit 1. Master the triage. Focus only on what you control. The absolute bedrock of Stoicism, the foundation for your entire mental fortress, is a principle called the dichotomy of control. Honestly, it's the most critical habit you'll ever adopt. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the most respected thinkers of his time, put it perfectly. Some things are in our control, and others not. In our control are our opinions, choices, desires, and aversions, basically. Our own actions. Not in our control is everything else. Our bodies, property, reputation, and things other people do. Think about how much energy you burn through every single day. You worry about what your boss thinks of your latest project. You get furious at the traffic jam making you late. You feel a knot of anxiety about a news story from halfway across the world. All of this precious, limited energy is being poured into things you have absolutely zero direct control over. It's like trying to command the ocean tides. It's pointless and it's exhausting. The Stoic approach is to perform a constant, ruthless triage. You sort every situation, every thought, every feeling into one of 2 buckets: mine or not mine. Is your co-worker's opinion in the mine bucket? Nope, that's their thought, their judgment. It belongs to them. What is in your bucket are your actions, the quality of your work, and how you choose to respond to their opinion. Is the state of the economy in the mine bucket? No. But what is? Your own financial habits, your effort to find new opportunities, and your choice to save instead of spend. This isn't about being passive. It's about being precise. It's about aiming your full power where it will actually make a difference. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man in the world at the time, constantly reminded himself of this. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, make this your mantra. Whenever you feel frustrated, anxious, or angry, just pause and ask yourself, is the source of this feeling something I can directly control? If the answer is no, a flight delay, a rude comment, the weather, consciously label it not mine, and refuse to hand over your emotional energy. Just let it go. Then, ask a follow-up question. What, in this situation, is in my control? Maybe you can't control the flight delay, but you can control your choice to read a book, catch up on work, or just practice being patient. You can't control a rude comment, but you can control whether you retaliate or keep your composure. This practice alone will reclaim huge reserves of energy and give you a sense of peace you might have thought was impossible. It's the master key that unlocks every other Stoic virtue. Habit 2. Conduct a daily examination, the art of the Stoic journal. The second habit is where you turn that theory of control into a sharp, practical tool for getting better every day. This is the practice of Stoic journaling. And no, this isn't a diary for complaining or just listing what happened. A Stoic journal is a training ground for your mind. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher who advised the Emperor Nero, detailed his own evening ritual. He wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." He'd ask himself, what fault did I fix today? What bad habit did I resist? How am I better? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's an honest but kind self-review, designed to make tomorrow a little bit better than today. The goal here is progress, not perfection. So, how do you actually do this? There are two perfect times for it, morning and evening. The morning prep. Marcus Aurelius seemed to use his mornings to get ready for the day ahead. He would write to himself, anticipating the kinds of people and challenges he might face. He famously wrote something that's a perfect model for a morning ritual. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Now, this isn't him being a pessimist, it's preparation. He was vaccinating his mind. By expecting these behaviors, he robbed them of their power to surprise or upset him. He was getting ready to meet them with reason, not anger. Your morning journal can be quick, just 5 minutes. Ask yourself, 1. What challenges might pop up today? A tough meeting, a tempting distraction. 2. What Stoic ideas can I use to handle them? Remembering what's in my control, choosing to be calm. 3. What's my main goal for my character today? What virtue do I want to practice? Patience, discipline, kindness. This sets your compass for the day. You're no longer just stumbling into the day. You're walking into it with a plan for who you want to be. The evening review. This is when you look back at the day's data, just like Seneca. Be an honest but fair coach to yourself. A simple framework is to answer 3 questions. 1. What did I do well today, according to my values? 2. Where did I fall short? When did I let my impulses take over instead of my reason? 3. How can I do better tomorrow if this happens again? For example, maybe you lost your temper in traffic. You wouldn't just write, "Got mad today." You'd break it down. What I did wrong, I let something outside my control ruin my mood. How I can do better tomorrow. When I feel that anger rising, I'll take a deep breath and repeat the mantra, "This is not mine." I will focus on my breathing or the podcast I'm listening to, things I actually control. Over time, this journal becomes your own personal instruction manual for a better life. It creates a feedback loop that helps you improve day by day. You're no longer just watching your life happen. You're actively becoming your own best teacher. Habit 3. Use the view from above. Practice gratitude. This third habit is a 2-part mental exercise. It's designed to shrink your anxieties and expand your sense of appreciation. It's all about shifting your perspective first by zooming way out, and then by zooming way in. Part 1. The view from above. Marcus Aurelius often practiced what we now call the view from above. He'd imagine himself rising up, looking down on the world. He wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars, and see yourself running with them." From way up there, he'd see all the cities, armies, and farms. He'd see couples arguing and children playing. Then he'd zoom out even further, seeing our whole planet as a tiny dot in the silent, endless cosmos. He'd think about the infinite time that came before him and the infinite time that will come after. So what's the point? Humility and peace. From that great height, your personal problems, the argument you had, the project stressing you out, the fear of what someone thinks of you, all shrink down to their true size. Against the backdrop of eternity, you see how small they really are. This doesn't mean your problems aren't real. It just puts them in context. It pulls you out of the immediate panic and lets you look at your life with a sense of calm. It's a powerful antidote to the ego, which loves to blow every little problem up into a catastrophe. Here's the habit. Take just 2 minutes each day. Close your eyes and do this visualization. Float up above your home, see your city, then your country, then the earth as a blue marble in the quiet of space. Hold your worries up against that vastness and just watch them dissolve. You'll come back to your day with a calmer, more stable perspective. Part 2. Deliberate gratitude. After zooming out, the second part is to zoom right back in with a new appreciation for this moment. Gratitude is a core part of Stoicism. It's the art of wanting the things you already have. In a world that's always telling you that you need more, a better car, a bigger house, a higher-paying job, the Stoic finds happiness right here, right now. The habit is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Every day, either in your journal or just in your head, name 3 specific things you're grateful for. Don't be generic. Don't just say, "I'm grateful for my family." Get specific. "I'm grateful for the way my partner laughed at my joke this morning. I'm grateful for the warmth of the sun on my face during my walk. I'm grateful for this cup of coffee and the quiet moment I have to enjoy it." This does 2 things. First, it trains you not to take things for granted. We usually only appreciate hot water when the heater breaks, or our health when we get sick. Gratitude is about appreciating things before they're gone. Second, it shifts your focus. You can't feel envious and grateful at the same time. You can't feel resentful and grateful at the same time. Gratitude is a powerful, positive emotion that simply crowds out the negative ones. When you combine the view from above with deliberate gratitude, you create a powerful daily rhythm. You zoom out to get perspective and shrink your troubles, and then you zoom in to appreciate what's right in front of you. Habit 4. Willingly embrace discomfort. This 4th habit is probably the most counterintuitive for us today, living in a world obsessed with comfort. The Stoics believed in deliberately and regularly seeking out discomfort. This isn't about punishing yourself, it's about training yourself. Think of it as building calluses on your mind. Part 1. Premeditating on bad things. The first practice is what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, which basically means thinking about things going wrong. You don't do this to create anxiety, but to build resilience and appreciation. Seneca advised his friends to spend a few days each month living as if they'd lost everything. He'd say, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" The purpose is twofold. First, it robs potential misfortune of its terror. Most of the things we fear are far worse in our imagination than in reality. By mentally rehearsing a worst-case scenario, like losing your job or facing a setback, you get used to the idea. If it ever happens, your mind has already been there. It won't be a paralyzing shock. Second, it makes you incredibly grateful for what you have right now. After imagining losing your home, you'll walk back into it with a deep sense of thankfulness. This negative visualization, paradoxically, makes your life feel much more positive. Part 2. Voluntary discomfort. This is the physical side of the same coin. It's about intentionally choosing the harder path to build your mental and physical toughness. Constant comfort can make us soft and fragile, unable to cope when real hardship shows up. The habit is to regularly add small, manageable doses of discomfort into your life. You can adapt these to your own life. A popular, modern way to apply this principle is to take cold showers, training your mind to endure a shock and control the panic. Try fasting for a short period. You'll learn that hunger is just a sensation, not an emergency, and you'll appreciate your next meal more. Sleep on the floor for a night to remind yourself you don't need luxury to be okay. Exercise when you don't feel like it to build discipline. Do that one task you've been putting off. By doing these things, you're constantly proving to yourself that you are tougher than you think. You're expanding your comfort zone. When real, unavoidable hardship strikes, an illness, a crisis, a loss, it won't be the first time you've faced discomfort. You will have been training for it. You'll have the confidence of a soldier who has drilled for battle, ready to meet the challenge with strength. Habit 5. Live with purpose. The final habit ties all the others together. It's about living with arete, a Greek word that means virtue or excellence. For the Stoics, the whole point of life was to live in line with virtue. This isn't about what other people think of you. It's about the quality of your own character and actions. This is the why behind all your practice. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stoicism is a philosophy for living, not just thinking. Part 1. Define your core values. You can't live a life of purpose if you don't know what that purpose is. This starts with looking inward. What virtues matter most to you? The 4 cardinal Stoic virtues are a great place to start. 1. Wisdom, the ability to see the world clearly. 2. Courage, facing challenges and fear with integrity. 3. Justice, treating others with fairness and kindness. 4. Temperance, practicing self-control and moderation. Take some time to write these down and make them your own. What does courage look like for you in your life? What does justice mean in how you talk to your co-workers? This becomes your North Star. Part 2. Act with intention. Once you have your code, the daily habit is to act on it. This means living intentionally, not just reacting. Before you start your day, set an intention based on your values. For example, today I will practice patience, temperance on my commute, and listen more than I speak in my meetings. Justice. Throughout the day, use this as a filter. Before you act, especially in a tough moment, pause and ask, is this in line with my values? Is this who I want to be? There is a deep sense of peace that comes from this. So much of our anxiety comes from the gap between our actions and our beliefs. By living with purpose, you close that gap. You're not just learning about Stoicism, you're actively sculpting your own character. Choice by choice, you are truly becoming a Stoic. These 5 habits, mastering triage, daily examination, practicing perspective, embracing discomfort, and living with purpose, are a training regimen for your soul. They are the blueprint for building that unshakable mindset we talked about. If this guide has been valuable to you, please subscribe and turn on notifications. We're all about exploring ancient wisdom that offers real solutions for modern life, and you won't want to miss what's next. And let us know in the comments, which of these 5 habits are you going to start with? Remember, mastering Stoicism isn't about a sudden dramatic change. It's about the small, consistent things you do every single day. Don't get overwhelmed and try to do all 5 at once. That's a recipe for burnout. The challenge is this: choose one, just one. Maybe it's focusing on what you can control, or maybe it's starting a simple evening journal. Master that one habit until it's second nature. Then you can add the next. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You have the map. Your journey toward inner peace, resilience, and unshakable strength begins now, with that first single step. Thanks for watching.